While many markets still don't have access to 5G, smartphone makers have still been pushing 5G phones for a couple of years now. One such brand is Realme, which is even aiming to come up with 5G phones under the sub 10,000 price bracket in India by 2022. And today I have the Realme 8s 5G in for review, whose price starts at 18,000 rupees in India. So is this phone actually worth the money, or is its 5G hoopla yet another misleading illusion to drive up the sales? To answer all this, I will be comparing it with the standard Realme 8, so let's get started. Okay, let's start with the design first. The 8s 5G has a gradient design language with a sparkly finish, which the company calls the Infinite Star. Aside from the glittery stars, this variant also switches between black and blue hues depending on how you're looking at it. Similarly, the matte surface repels fingerprints and smudges while also giving the phone an equally attractive look. And despite being made of plastic, the build quality is robust and the phone feels fairly premium too. The fingerprint scanner on the right, which also serves as a power button, works flawlessly as well. So yeah, I have no complaints about its design, but it's in the front that's wrong with every 5G mid-range phones, including the Realme 8s. Here you get a 6.5 inches IPS LCD panel, and if you compare it to the cheaper Realme 8 Super AMOLED screen, this is a big downgrade. From deep blacks, excellent contrast ratio, to other perks like always on display and an in-display fingerprint reader, the Realme 8 has a far superior screen of the two. But to make up for this, Realme is offering a 90Hz refresh rate on this LCD panel, contrary to the 60Hz you get on the Realme 8. It means you're getting a slightly smoother scrolling experience, whether it's over Twitter feeds or when jumping from one app to another. Plus, there are no unusual micro delays or stutters here since Realme has well optimized the UI. However, this panel has a peak brightness of 600 nits, which is lower than the 1000 nits on the Realme 8. In my usage, indoor visibility has been more than adequate, but heading outdoors, there were instances where I struggled to read messages and other contents off this display. Besides that, the Realme 8s 5G's audio output is not that exciting either. You get a mono speaker similar to the Realme 8 with a reasonably loud output, but at this price, Realme should have added a stereo speaker setup. Apart from the display, you also have to sacrifice in the camera department. Here, the Realme 8s lacks an ultra-wide-angle lens, and I find it weird to see lots of 5G mid-range phones skipping on the ultra-wide-angle sensor, which actually costs less than $10 for the hardware. Plus, its 64-megapixel main camera is not extraordinary, albeit slightly better than the Realme 8. During daytime, as you can see, it is extremely similar to the Realme 8, and you will only find the difference in the color tone. Likewise, both of them offer comparable edge detection when it comes to portraits. Besides this, the background separation and details look better on the 8s as well. The selfie share is a similar story too. Details and dynamic range are remarkably similar, but Realme 8 smoothens the subject while adding a faint tinge as well. Nevertheless, both devices struggle with edge detection when it comes to portrait selfies. Also, the 8s has somewhat higher contrast, whereas both of them process the background to look vibrant and something that pleases the eye. Moving on, the Realme 8s performs admirably better in terms of nighttime shots. As you can see from these samples, it has significantly superior exposure maintenance. Even under night mode, I prefer pictures from the 8s. Its photos retain more details, have higher level of clarity, and appear more balanced in every way. Okay, when it comes to videos, while the Realme 8 can shoot up to 4K 30fps, the 8s can only record up to 1080p 30fps videos. Anyway, under this resolution, the videos from the Realme 8s look more stable and retain a good white balance. Also, it has better exposure maintenance and dynamic range. Now let's move our focus on the performance, which is where things get more interesting. Powering the Realme 8s 5G is MediaTek's new 6nm based Dimensity 810 5G, which is based on the same Cortex A55 and Cortex A76 combo as the Helio G95 with a slightly boosted clock speed. However, you get an inferior Mali G57 MC2 GPU here as opposed to the Mali G76 MC4 on the Helio G95. So overall, to be honest, I didn't get that level of experience which I hoped from an 18,000 rupee phone. In fact, as you can see from these benchmark scores, the Realme 8 and the Realme 8s have similar scores, with the Realme 8s's GPU score being lower than the Realme 8. Here, PUBG Mobile maxes out at HD graphics and high frame rates. This setting delivers 28 to 30 FPS with occasional stutters. So for better stability, I had to dial down the graphics to smooth and frame rates to ultra, where it manages 37 to 40 FPS and minimal jitters. Similarly, Call of Duty Mobile is playable at high frame rates with the FPS count reaching up to 40 FPS and little to no hiccups, unlike in PUBG. Relatively taxing games like Genshin Impact delivers 16 FPS in the highest graphics settings. Therefore, even though the Dimensity 810 is a fairly capable chipset, don't expect it to run graphic-intensive games without any hiccups. Okay, on to the thermals. After about an hour of continuous gaming, the CPU temperature on the Realme 8S rose up to 47 degrees with about 11% battery drain. So I am quite happy with the thermal performance of the Realme 8S. And the battery is also quite good on this phone. With its 5000 mAh cell, I easily got around 7 to 8 hours of screen on time, which includes 1 to 2 hours of gaming, casual web surfing, and clicking photos and videos for samples. So it comfortably made it through the day, finishing with nearly 20% battery left over by the end. Similarly, it only takes about 1 hour and 12 minutes to fully charge its battery using the 33-watt fast charger provided inside the box. Moving on, this phone supports 5 5G bands in total, which is significantly less than 13 5G bands on the Realme GT. Yes, I know the latter is a flagship handset, but to accommodate 5G, 8S also forgoes an ultra-wide-angle lens and an AMOLED display. So is buying a future-ready 5G smartphone in the mid-range segment worth your money, especially one that compromises on several aspects to deliver 5G? To the best of my knowledge, the answer is no. Here I am talking about South Asian countries such as India, Nepal, Pakistan, and others where 5G deployment still has a long way to go. Meaning there's still a lot of time left before 5G becomes available to the public. And until then, I believe smartphone brands will have to come up with a better value 5G phone that does not skimp on other features. So like many other 5G mid-range phones in the market, such as the Poco M3 Pro, the Galaxy M32 5G, and the Oppo A74 5G, the Realme 8S 5G has fallen short of my expectations, particularly when considering its mediocre IPS display and its camera quality. So my advice would be to add a little bit more cash and get better 4G phones like the Realme X7, the Galaxy M62, and the Mi 11 Lite. So there you have it, guys, our full review of the Realme 8S 5G. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and subscription to the channel would be great. Till then, I'm Pratima and I'll see you in my next video.